Some.
Yeah, hopefully.
All right, we should be going, should be up on YouTube here momentarily. I'm going to run in the other room and start the Instagram live. We're going to be cross-platforming here tonight.
Nice.
We get some callers. I think we'll have some. There we go.
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay, here we go. Now we got YouTube talking. All right, we should be going, should be up on YouTube here momentarily. I'm going to muted. All right, now we're doing better. Back to meeting. All right. Back in 2 seconds for Grown Man Radio. All right. What's going on, everybody? We're going to get into the show momentarily with our special guest tonight, Mark Greer, head golf professional, Wichita Falls Country Club, author of a new book we're going to talk to him about, In 2 Shakes of a Persian Kitten's Whiskers. Once I get my YouTube commentary up in front of my eyeballs so I can interact with you guys. That's the name of the game. And the internet these days, you got to be interactive. There we go. We got 4 viewers on YouTube. I'm sure that is incorrect. I think it's more like 4 million. I have to check my internet connection. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Grown Man Radio Show. As I said, tonight our guest is the head golf professional at Wichita Falls Country Club and the author of the new book, Getting Better. Please welcome, from his back patio, PGA professional, Mark Greer. Oh, the grand entrance into Grown Man Radio, baby. What's going on, amigo?
So happy to see you, Clayton.
Well, you know what? It's really good to see you too, amigo. It's been a long time. Last time I saw you was at one of them PGA of America meetings where they make you sit around and earn your hours.
Points and wear a tie all day.
Yeah, dude. You got to wear the tie. Have you ever worn a clip-on to one of those things, or do you go traditional?
No, actually, in these modern days and times, we've stopped wearing ties altogether.
Is that an actual fact?
Or jackets.
Oh, wow. You can just go with a jacket and a shirt.
Yeah. Don't tell anybody I do that, especially not. Well, I'm not going to say any names.
If there's a such thing as demerits in the PGA of America, I'm going to recommend that you get them because you got to wear that tie.
Well, I've earned up a lot of points coming up now, so I could use them.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to join us tonight, the phone number is open. We're going to get into it a little bit with Mark here about his new book, but we welcome your questions. The Grown phone is open, sponsored by sandbaggery.com. The number is 925-726-3224. And you know how all the numbers have the little letters next to them? If you punch that in, it's 925-SANDBAG, and that correlates to a little company that I started, and it didn't really take off. It was one of those things where there was a little bit too much weight on the airplane, and they got to the end of the tarmac, and they're like, abort, abort, abort. but we're backing the plane up a little bit. We're lightening the load. We're going to restructure. And right now, they're just a sponsor for Grown Man Radio. So if you want to give us a call, 925-726-3224 is still the number, sponsored by sandbaggery.com. But tonight, we're going to talk to my friend, former coworker, and former supervisor, Mark Greer. Mark, what was it like to be a supervisor at a golf course in a college town where you had a bunch of rambunctious young folks trying to get as drunk as possible, trying to have as much fun as possible? Oh my gosh, we might have one of these people calling in the grown phone right now. Hang on, let me cut out the extreme Easter Bunny music and bring in our first caller of the night. Caller, you are live on Grown Man Radio. You are with Mark Greer.
I'm live right now?
You're live on the air right now. If you would do us a favor and cut out the audio in the background, we're getting a little reverb.
Sorry.
Person. I recognize that voice.
Here you
You can't give the phone to somebody else.
Hello, caller. You're live on the air.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. We're calling.
That's part of my family.
Family calling in just to tell them that we could see him on the YouTube. You don't have to put us on the air.
Okay. Well, you're
live, so you're on the air.
You're already on the air.
Oh, Uncle Mark, we're out here. The Greers are watching you. We're proud of you. We just wanted to say you look handsome and you're doing great. Keep up the good work.
Keep up the positive vibes. Who is this that's calling?
This is Laura Greer, his sister-in-law, and his brother Brad and Mary Stewart Greer and Meredith Greer were all watching him and enjoying your show.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the program. So I understand you guys are all direct bloodlines of somebody that died at the Alamo. You guys are as Texan as it gets.
That's right. We'll let Mark talk about that, but that is very exciting. Well, y'all have a good show. Thank you.
Thanks for calling in.
Good luck, Mark. We love you.
Mark, what's it like to have the Texas Historical Society reach out and say, "Hey, man, we need to hear your story because your great-great-grandpa, was at the Alamo." I can't remember the exact details, but I remember someone reached out to you and they're like, "Dude, you're like direct bloodlines of somebody that was at the Alamo." What's that like?
Well, it makes you very proud as a Texan for sure. I was born in Texas. My family's been in Texas for a long time. And yeah, one of my ancestors was a private who did pass away in the Alamo. And, they gave our family the benefit of being a member of the sons and the daughters of the Republic of Texas. And, not many people can say that. Texas was only a republic for like 8 or 9 years. There's discrepancy there, whether or not it was 8 or 9 years. So,
who do you think was the best president during their nationhood?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I think there was only one, and I think it was Sam Houston, but I'm not sure.
I did a little bit of Texas-based trivia for a previous show, and I know that there was a few actually.
Okay, good.
So I don't know who they were, but I remember Sam Houston was one of them. And I really enjoy seeing Sam every time I drive down to Houston to see my sister-in-law on the left side of the road there. And big, gigantic white statue of Big Sam.
Yeah, I love that statue.
Well, so does that, do you go down there and is there like a plaque with your great-great-grandfather's name on it? Or how is he immortalized at the Alamo?
His name is at the Alamo, and our family has donated some of his heirlooms to the Alamo Foundation. I'm pretty sure they're in a closet right now, but they have been on display before. And, we're just very proud of the whole situation.
Understandably so. And before our caller, we were just getting into what it's like to be the head golf professional at a golf club in a college town where you got a bunch of rambunctious youngsters all still trying to have a good time and partying, but also trying to put on a good show for the members. What's it like to balance that duality, if you will?
Well, funny enough, I think that you might know a little something.
I think I do.
Yes, we both have some of the same friends and we both experience some of the same things. And obviously it was wild and crazy. I was a little older than you were, but I do want to share one memory of mine with your viewers
Oh, yes.
who mingling with that crowd. And that is after you won our section championship at the Miramont Country Club and you went out that night and mingled with those people in your tuxedo and your giant PGA Tour style check all night. And we got a lot of good pictures from that. And we really appreciate that. Till this day, I will say that all of your friends appreciate that exhibition of your creativity.
Wow. Thank you so much. You know, I was really disappointed those photos never made it into the Miramont newsletter. I thought there would have been some good fodder there on, what do they call it? North Street, Northgate. Yeah, we were ripping up Northgate pretty good. I think it was me and Ryan Gersh and Mason and Lane probably. And if any of those gents are listening tonight and can regale us with any of the memories I may have forgotten due to an alcohol-induced stupor, the phone number is 925-726-3224. Good times. That was my first job out of college. And I remember Brad fondly saying, you know, you came down here and you interviewed and you didn't have a portfolio or anything. He's like, that's the last time I'm ever going to hire anybody just on a gut feeling. He said, you know, you slipped one past the goalie there. Did you have a similar feeling?
Oh, from when he hired me?
No.
Oh, no.
When I came in hot without a portfolio and Glenn Barrett was standing in the office, and the first question I was asked officially by a representative of the club is, are you gay?
Well, I got a similar first question, by the way. But no, I thought you were part of the team, and I trusted Brad's gut feeling 100%, and we were ready to go.
Well, Miramont was a cool experience for me. It was, like I said, my first like real gig, and we shared an office together. And I just wanted to play this song for you and see what kind of memories this might stir up, because when I think of Mark Greer, this is really what pops up into my mind.
I try to name the band first.
Yeah, can you name this band? This song would play at least 6 or 7 times per day in the office.
I was a highwayman. On the roads I did ride.
With sword and pistol by my side.
You know, the last verse is my favorite verse.
Is that the one where he was a sailor?
Yes, I mean, the lyrics are great in that song, man. You can't deny that.
I saw the music video today in preparation for the show, and the one where I was a dam builder, across the river deep and wide.
He got buried in concrete, man.
He got struck by lightning, then fell over the railing, and they buried that sucker.
Buried in concrete, man.
How long do you think you could survive being buried alive in concrete?
Not very long.
Not too long. But
I'm talking seconds.
That was one of my fondest memories of working at Miramont, was sharing a Spotify account. And we were early adopters of the Spotify, but the computer hooked up to Spotify was at your desk, and it was about this size desk. And then on the other side of the room, I had my back turned to you, and but you had the speakers facing me, and I heard this song a lot, and I have grown to love it. And I really play that a lot, especially when I'm going down to Austin for some reason. Whenever I feel like the Highwayman has kind of like a hill country vibe to it, or you got to be somewhere out in sort of a desert region, and then the Highwaymen really kick into their full effect.
Yes.
As the same as when.
I want to tell you that I've been dreaming about Cincinnati chili.
Oh.
Chatting back and forth.
Well, Cincinnati chili. Did I have a chance to share some of that?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, you did. I came over to your house, and you had a few people over, and we really enjoyed that.
Okay, cool. Well, for those who don't know, Cincinnati chili is a bed of spaghetti on top of which you put a little bit of chili, and then you pile high some cheddar cheese, and then put some oyster crackers on top of that. It's called a gut bomb. If you are so inclined, you can check it out. Skyline is the best representation of that, and you can find it at just about any Kroger's location throughout the nation. Skyline chili. So yeah, Highwayman was one of my favorite memories about the club, and we got to play a lot of golf together. That was awesome. And I think I really kind of grew up as a person at Miramont. And I think I have a lot to, in all candor, I didn't really understand you when I was at Miramont Country Club, but I was 22 years old. They say your brain is not even formed until you're like 25. I was a dumb idiot when I was working down there. And at the time, I didn't really understand it. But looking back on it, the one thing that I think that Mark Greer taught me was attention to detail and hard work, because those tournaments you ran down there were spot on. And I think if I were to imagine, you might have learned some of those skills from one of our mutual acquaintances currently down at the honors course in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And I just wanted to know if we can hear maybe an impression of this gentleman that we're speaking about.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. And I'm going to tell you something real quick. You know, I went and visited him last year. We're talking about Henrik Simonson, the head pro at the honors course.
Mark, how are you?
In Tennessee. And I went and visited him last year prior to my first visit to the Masters, which Tiger Woods won, and I predicted he would win. For many people, by the way.
Wait, can I jump in there? Why did you think he won? Why did you think he was going to win?
I don't, man, that's a really good question. But I talked to him a few times in the years before that, and I thought his mindset had really changed. And
oh, you talked to Tiger Woods at Cabo, right?
Yeah.
Holy shit balls. We got to talk about that. So you had talked to him and his mindset had changed.
Well, I mean, we're talking about very brief conversations, and I'm just talking about my perception of what he was saying. And sometimes it was stuff he was saying to other people. But I mean, I really thought that his mindset had changed to one that it was, it used to be all body focused for him. And he was always trying to make his body better and stronger. And by that, he was ruining his body. I mean, I think we all agree. And then he got back into just playing the game and not being technical, playing shots on the course. And that's what he was practicing. And I really felt that mindset and that's what you have to do at Augusta National. I mean, you got to play shots, you got to be exact distance, you got to be exact spin. And I really feel like that was his mindset. And
okay, so thanks for thinking.
And that was a year before he played in the Masters, and I knew it.
You know what I liked about that transitionary period was from my perception, he started to be okay with not being the most powerful. He started to be okay with just the fairway finder.
I was totally part of it. And he felt like he was going to curve his ball into play and then curve his ball close to the pin. And that was really the original mindset of the Tiger Woods mentality that in 2000, 1999, 2001, that won him all those majors.
Okay, so you took this. That's awesome. I want to get back to your time at Cabo, but you were just about to go visit with Henrik Simonson at the honors course. Mark, how are you? Nice to have you. Yeah.
Well, you know that many times that I would call the golf shop and I would act like his father. And I would say, hello, Tamara, this is Peter Simonson calling. Is my son Henrik there? And she would totally fall for it, right? And so, well, there's your impression. But he is the best. I went and saw him last week, and the honors course is amazing.
You saw him last week?
No, last year before I went to the.
Oh.
Sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, what did you learn from Henrik under his tutelage?
Just that, yeah, you said it exactly. Hard work and attention to details. I mean, that was the other thing I was going to say about him is that I have really lightened up later in my career, but he is still the same.
Oh, he's still a stickler, huh?
Yeah, oh, for sure. But, if you're at the honors course, I mean, the number top course in top 100, I mean, you got to be that way. I'm sure that's why he's that way. I'm in Wichita Falls. We're in Wichita Falls Country Club. We're a little bit more casual here. There's a lot of cowboys here, man. So you have to adjust your culture. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I gotta give a shout out to Henrik, because one time when I was working there as a lowly intern, and again, just a dumb idiot, just a 20-year-old, just chasing the next six pack. I was closing up the shop one time and forgot to, do it properly, and didn't put any of the money from the cash advance to the caddies in the safe. So there was like 10 grand just sitting out in the open. Just, didn't figure that would be a high priority to lock up or anything in the safe. And then went back to the dorms over there across the way. And then just so happens that night, the golf shop got broken into by a couple of hoodlums. And luckily, all they got off with was a couple of pair of Vapor Nike shoes and a couple of shirts, and they forgot to grab the 10K that I left sitting out on the counter. And then Henrik brought me into the office the next day. He said, "Clay, we have to have a discussion." I was like, "What's up, dude?
This is not acceptable, Clay."
Yeah, and the best part was I had done that like 2 times. The first time he let it.
I stayed in the same dorm. I might have stayed in the same room as you.
Probably did. There were some good hijinks in that dormitory.
Yeah,
that was his vision too. What a cool guy to have the vision to put that together. And that was the thing when we'd leave it all trashed from partying. He's like, "Clay, I was on my hands and knees laying the carpet in the dormitories, so it's difficult to see when it looks like a fraternity party." My impersonation.
You do it so much better than me.
No. That's
it's like you've been practicing, bro.
No, I'm disappointed in it. It's not quite the right kanda.
It's perfect.
But another thing, when my parents came down to visit, he's such a gentleman, it's ridiculous. So there's that long winding driveway, and he was going over probably with a bucket to go pick up some weeds along the long drive because it drove him crazy.
Frustrating.
He saw some broadleaf invasion in the toy shop, and he got out of the car and went and picked it up in a bucket. And he was in his woolen slacks, and he saw my parents coming in for an intern visit day in the minivan, and it was 500 yards away, and he just comes marching over through the heather, through the long grass, and he goes straight "Hello, I'm Henrik. Your son is interning for me. He's doing a good job, except for when he forgets to lock up the $10,000 cash, and when it smells like someone's been pissing by the caddy shack." We had this one maintenance intern on top of the dorm up there that used to spray a little bit off of the balcony because it was less, it was more convenient than going back inside to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, you had to walk all the way to the restroom.
Yeah, so you would just let it rip there. And it's down in one of these little hollers, as they say in Tennessee, down in the hollers. And so there's not good airflow. And, you think you pee into a parking lot, it's going to evaporate, no big deal. But 2 weeks later, the caddies are like, "God damn, smells like someone's pissing down here." And then that gets to Henrik. And then Henrik pulls me in the office. He's like, Clay, it smells like someone's been pissing." And I was like, well, that's weird. First time hearing of it. And so, but through all that, he was the coolest guy ever. He gave me a good recommendation that led to me getting the job at Miramont to hang out with you and Brad. And
I hope they were recording this.
Oh, it's definitely recorded. I think statute of limitations have passed in terms of intern
for
hijinks.
sure. He would love that.
I think I've heard some stories that maybe he got after it a little bit as a young man himself.
I can tell you some stories, but we'll save that for another time.
Okay, yeah, we'll get back to that.
Still a mentor of mine.
Yeah. So anyway, we worked together at Miramont, and then you headed down straight to Cabo. What's it like as an American
head golf professional at a course designed by Tiger Woods?
That is a cool thing to have to your name. What's it like to be an American working down in Cabo, a party town? I've never been to Cabo.
It was it was fine for me because I didn't really party that much. I probably only stayed out past midnight 5-6 times while I was there in the 3 years. But it's a fishing town, and I love fishing and I love scuba, and did that. And you know, I don't know if you've ever been down there, but the scenery is amazing. It's the best place to visit in Cabo. People talk a lot about Cancun and all that stuff, but it is the best place to visit in Cabo.
And what did you learn from your time down there working at Tiger's Course, Diamante?
That Mexican people are wonderful. They work hard and they're unbelievably loyal. Mexico's kind of screwed up, and it's
Politically?
Yeah, it's in a terrible way. You know, the big companies and the government, they really don't support the common people. And I know that we get the feeling that that happens here in America, but oh, we got it so good here in America. It really happens down there. They're not supported at all. There's so much poverty, it's ridiculous. And man, those people still are so thankful for what they have. It's unbelievable. With just the littlest things and the hugest families and the littlest amount of money. They just get a freaking pollo on the way home and they're so happy for it. You wouldn't believe it. And hardworking, loyal people.
So my understanding of Cabo is that it's, you know, very wealthy folks that are going there to vacation, and then obviously somebody's got to be there to work. So what's the city like in terms of where the rich folks lives and then where the locals live? And then you're somewhere in the middle as a head golf professional. You're not poor, but you're not killing it. So where were you able to live down there?
Yeah, and it's the same type of separation in America. The percentages are a little bit different. You know, poverty is much higher in the middle class like me. We're a small percentage, and rich. And then rich, they all live in their own little enclaves, obviously, and they're all on the coast. And then as you move closer, further inland, you know, there just becomes more and more poverty. I was able to, and other professionals on my level were able to live in some of the older buildings and apartments and areas that used to be resort areas. And it's kind of close to the water still. So we still had a I don't want to say luxurious, but luxurious lifestyle living in.
And what's the best restaurant to go to in Cabo?
That is an awesome question. I mean, it depends on what you're looking for. Are you a foodie? Are you into total food?
My wife is a foodie, so if we were ever to go down there and you were to recommend like the perfect taco shop that has a nice view of the ocean and a place you can get a couple of cold ones and watch the sunset, that would be my preference.
Okay, well, if you're talking about tacos and real Mexican culture, you want to go to La Lupita. And they have locations in Cabo and in Cabo, San Jose del Cabo. And then if you want something really nice, I mean, there's a couple of organic restaurants in San Jose. One is called Acre. It's my favorite. They have a great mezcal tasting when you come in, even before you get sat. I don't know if you know what mezcal is, but it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And then if you're
like
into
Mexican scotch, right?
That's a good way to describe it, but it's really the origins of tequila. Like tequila is a mezcal, the way I understand it. It falls under the mezcal subnet. I don't want to say anything wrong. But then there's places in Cabo San Lucas like El Farallon, which is right on the rocky outcropping on the Pacific side, and there's waves crashing all night long, and you've got beautiful food. It's super expensive, but it's a great place to go.
Okay, cool. I'm writing that down.
El Farallon.
And you had some experience working in fine dining. I remember that you said you didn't you in Houston? You said you worked in fine dining.
Busy, man. I spent all 27 years in college. All 27 years that I was in college, I was a fine dining bartender, and so yes.
What did you learn from your time in fine dining?
Well, that food and wine and certain spirits are beautiful in moderation, and I learned that some French people are kind of mean.
French dudes like the chef, dog food.
Yeah, yeah, and I met a lot of great people. I met people from the French embassy. I met a lot of rich people. I met George H.W. a couple of times, and it was just a great experience to meet all those people. It's the kind of same experience that we have in the country club, where just different types of people that we would meet in our normal lifestyle.
Is that something that you would splurge on with you or a date if you're going out? Is that something that you really enjoy, to go to a nice fine dining experience and maybe spend a couple $100 on a meal?
Well, now that I know, I'm kind of spoiled, and absolutely, yeah, I'm doing it all whenever I can. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's fast forward a little bit. What's the best eating in Wichita Falls?
McBride Steakhouse, man. My buddy Fort Swanson, he owns the place. It's a great place. It's a family restaurant. You're not going to get a lot of what you get in the Dallas-Fort Worth area here in Wichita Falls. You are going to get a lot of beef, I'll tell you that. But, it's a country town.
I've driven through it a couple of times on our way up to the Boulder on the Wild, Colorado.
Yeah.
So Melissa's parents live outside of college or Colorado Springs. So we cruise through there, and I always kind of dig the town when I'm driving by. I see it looked like it used to have some industry up there, like some smokestack action going on, and there's some big buildings and stuff. What's the story of Wichita Falls? I don't really know anything about it.
Agriculture, cattle, and oil. And those things have been in different percentages over time. Now we're mainly oil, and as we know, oil prices and gas prices are really far down. So our economy here in Wichita Falls has been basically, stagnant to growing slowly in the last 20 years. But like you said, it's a great town. It's a great town to raise kids in. Agriculture is coming back up. We got the wind farms coming back up. Cattle, always a huge industry around here for sure.
And do you have family ties to the area, or is it just the job?
No, it's just a job. My family ties are to South Texas.
Okay. So you came from Cabo up to be the head golf professional at Wichita Falls Country Club. And how long have you been there now?
3 years.
3 years?
Yeah.
Have you brought any of your cool creative ideas that to the club like you used to do at Miramont?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe on a more low-key level than we used to do at Miramont, since it was a college town. But yeah, I feel like I have. You get older, you get maybe the ideas are still as good, but maybe it's more of a flow and it's less of a sharp change from what people are used to.
I dig. Do you remember any of the names of the racers of the Miramont RC Derby?
Man. I tell people about that situation all the time. One of them was Russian.
Victory Lane.
Victory Lane.
Victory Lane is my name.
And then Kevin was that was Lane, right?
I don't remember who was who, but I remember the name.
That was Lane. And then Kevin was somebody else.
Hugh Jundies was Weston. He was British. He was Hugh Jundies. And then we had it. Do you remember the Italian?
No.
Donatello nobody.
Did you do that research? I have those files saved.
Yeah.
If you would have told me about that, I would have remembered every one of them.
I remember something else you taught me. You told me how to make an Excel sheet like a son of a gun. Merge and center. Every time I merge and center, I'm like, oh, that's Mark Greer living in my spirit. Bless his heart.
Tell my assistants about that now. It's probably the same deal.
Dude, you got those things centered and you got it as close to the edge of the margin as possible. People look at a good tournament results sheet and people are really impressed.
Mark, do you have your result sheet yet?
Results. You must have it spaced so the rubber band is not blocking your writing area.
All those things matter, man.
It's all about the details, man. And the corner rounder, the goddamn corner rounder.
Hey, now, you know, another assistant we had at Miramont, Jamie Christensen, he called me recently from up in Wisconsin. He said, hey, you know what I just ordered? Corner rounder.
Oh, yeah, baby. You know, it's a nice touch. It's a nice touch. Plus, it limits your paper cut action. So we're going to get to your book here shortly, but just so the listeners can get to know you a little bit better, I got some quick fill in the blank sort of word association questions for you here, just rapid fire. First thing that pops into your mind. Are you down? All right. The best band is?
And that's so hard. I'm going to say Rush right now.
The funnest golf course I've ever played is?
Escondido.
Your earliest memory is?
Slippery Rock in Georgia.
What's that?
It was in our backyard. We had a forest. There was a waterfall. It was kind of just ran over the slippery rock. It was sweet, man.
Sounds cool. Your first car was?
Fiat convertible Spider.
Oh, snap. What color?
Red.
Red Fiat Spider convertible. Look out, lady.
No, it had half of the top missing and one of the wheels was crooked, so bad deal.
What was the back speed on that bad boy?
Oh, max speed was pretty good, but that was pretty much the only good thing.
Charcoal or gas?
Charcoal. Come on.
Why?
Charcoal. It tastes better, and I like fire. Sorry, I like making fire.
Fire.
I like making fire.
Chunky or creamy peanut butter?
Creamy.
The best fast food chain is?
Whataburger.
Madonna is?
Lame.
I remember you hated Madonna, so I threw that one in there. Cats are?
Super lame.
Dogs are?
Pretty cool.
Are what?
Pretty cool.
Oh, pretty cool. The best movie is?
Man, I'm going to have to say Star Wars.
Nice. Your biggest inspiration is?
Albert Einstein.
Albert Einstein. Cool. Oh, now I'm getting into the wedge issues here. UFOs are? Real? Yes. Do you think that Lieutenant Fravor stuff is the real deal legit?
I don't know who he is.
Oh, dude, that's like the ones that the Pentagon officially recognized as we don't know what it is the other day. Like it was leaked by that guy from Blink 182 first. And then like a year later, the Pentagon's like, yep, there's a bunch of things that are 40-foot long Tic Tacs flying around. We have no idea what they are. And everybody's like, okay, don't care. In the constant news cycle, we don't give a shit.
Well, I appreciate that because why would we care?
Yeah, well, it's not important. How about ghosts are?
I'm 50-50 on that.
Have you ever had any super spooky stuff unexplained happen?
No.
Yeah, me neither. I'm waiting for it. I want it to happen so bad. I think it only happens to people who don't want it to happen.
No.
The coolest swing on the PGA Tour belongs to?
Coolest? Man, that's a really hard one. I'm going to say Matthew Wolf just because it's so wicked.
My boy, that's my favorite too. Patrick Reed is?
A true American.
Oh, wow. Good dodge. All right. Last but not least, Mark Greer is?
I mean, just poor golf bro trying to get by, man. That's
Whatever. I want to know why you wrote this book. Tell us about your book. It's called Getting Better. And on the insert, it says that you can gain skills you need to improve anything in your life in just a few hours. So what caused you to write a book, and what's it all about?
Yeah, well, I thought about writing a book for a long time. You know, I also in my career, I came to a point where I realized my whole life was about making people happy. And, you know, those kind of ideas combined, I had different ideas about the book. And finally came to, well, I have a decent understanding of how the brain works. Let me explain that to people because most people don't understand it. And then let me tell them step by step how to change what they're thinking if they want to, right? And so it just developed into that. And then I just saw it as a huge challenge, and I wanted to, meet that challenge. And so that's what I did.
And so folks can pick up the book on Amazon and on Kindle. It's called Getting Better. And you used a pen name. I think that you said that was in honor of your grandmother.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, she's kind of the matriarch of our family on my dad's side. And, you know, she's really our heritage to Texas. And she taught us a lot about living.
Was she the one that called you Dear Heart?
Yes.
Yes, I remember that too. I love that. I still use that with Melissa. I stole that from you.
Still call some of my workers that.
So if you're confused and you're looking for the book, it's under Mark Murphy, Getting Better. So can you give us a little sampler platter of, you know, some of the things that people might not know about how the brain works and how they can use that understanding to better themselves?
Well, I mean, one thing that we don't really notice is how much of our behavior is habitual. You know, from when we get up in the morning to when we go to bed, you know, a very small percentage of what we produce behaviorally is from our conscious. A lot of it is from our subconscious. And, you know, that is a habit in itself. And that is a habit that we have fallen into socially. When we were earlier humans, and I'm talking about earlier humans before we were even socialized, we were more aware. We were super aware all the time. And our minds were open and our behavior was changing all the time. Now we've gotten patterns and habits, and you know, if people like that, that's fine. But if people want something better, you know, this is what I introduce.
Is that because we've kind of created this artificially safe environment so we don't have a lot of these external threats, so we just get kind of bored and we get into the same rut?
Absolutely, absolutely. And then, you know, TV is help be responsible for that. You know, all the social media is responsible for that. Look at what people complain about in social media. That is people who are blind to the reactions of other people, and they just post stuff regardless of people's feelings.
Especially.
I'm in the habit of using the word irregardless because I joke about it so much. But you know, people post mean stuff on Facebook because they don't see the reactions of other people, and then that's what I was saying with that right there.
Yeah, you don't have to deal with the person's emotions when you tell them that they're a loser on the internet. It's like this whole another like de-evolution of that person that you were talking about earlier that was constantly on alert looking for saber-toothed tigers and just trying to find the next meal. And now all of a sudden we're so soft that we got to like make our own issues online. And you're saying that has some serious downsides to your mental health.
Absolutely. And we get in those habits. And then those habits will spiral down into negative thinking, and it will create very unhappy lives for us.
So I don't want to give away too much of the book, but how can people start to turn it around? What are some scientifically proven ways to form better habits?
First thing I would say is pay attention to what you're doing. Pay attention to what you're thinking. Ask yourself multiple times throughout the day, what am I doing? What am I thinking? Am I caught in a habitual rut of behavior, or am I doing something different? Am I creating something new with my life? That's the first step I would say. And then
So like literally journaling. Do you think it's helpful to write it down, or is it enough just to notice your thoughts?
I try to keep it as simple as possible. But for everybody, it's different, For me, I can keep it into one or two different thoughts. For some people, it might be 5, 6, or 7. If that's the case, yeah, you need to write it down. But we need to keep it as simple as possible. What I do say in my book is, boil it down to the very simplest thing. Boil it down to the crux of the matter, and understand what's producing the behavior that we're creating, right? The same habitual thought can create a number of different behaviors that are habitual and harmful to us. But if we just change the root issue, right, the root thought, then all of those behaviors will change.
What do you say to folks that say, man, it's scary to face my demons? Like, it's easier for me just to not pay attention to it.
Well, I would say, are you happy?
Do what?
I would say, are you happy?
What if they're not able to answer that question because they're in a fog?
Well, then I would say, then you're probably not happy.
Yeah.
And I would say, hey, man, it's easy, and you can take it day by day. I mean, well, it's not easy, but it's simple, and you can take it day by day. And you can see progressive incremental improvements as you go along. And really, you don't have to change your life or your thinking or your family that much. I mean, you may have to change the people that you hang around with just because they introduce different behaviors to you, and they're, part of your bad habits. But I mean, if you start thinking differently, those people are going to disappear anyway.
Yeah. Do you subscribe to that idea that you kind of are, as a person, similar to the people you spend the most time with? I think they say like the 3 people that you spend the most time with sort of impact your personality.
I believe that energy is transferred in between those humans for sure. I believe that maybe one of those humans has more power and exhibits more power over those people, and then those other people might be subservient in that group. And I believe that even can be in flux. But we give energy to the world and to people all the time. We are giving our energy, and that is affecting people, whether it's by facial expression or whether it's by some ethereal matter that travels through the universe. I mean, it's truly affecting people. And so that's one of the things in my book and towards the end that we really talk about, providing the proper energy to the world.
Cool. Do you get into the idea of free will and the different types of free will in your book?
I mean, what do you mean?
Just there are different theories about, as we're learning more and more about the brain, some of these studies that indicate that they can predict with certainty which button you're going to press seconds before you become aware of which button you're going to press and the implications of that.
Well, yeah, no, I'm familiar with stuff like that, and I really feel like those people can predict that behavior, and really due to the habitual behavior that we have produced over time. And I mean, if you put it into algorithms and percentages, yeah, you can predict 99% what button somebody's going to push under a certain circumstance. But that doesn't really tell you about human behavior. A lot of our behavior is voluntary because we're on our own, right? It's like before we go to bed and right when we wake up in the morning, there's nobody affecting of us. I'm alone a lot, so I experience it a lot. But, when you're on your own thinking, other people can affect you, yes, but it's only you, right? So you can choose whatever it is. And so that way, I think all of that is, yeah, you can predict it, but yes, we can also choose.
Okay.
Our program behavior has control over us in some sense, but my book is about gaining control of that and being in the conscious realm for a greater period of time. So in that case, hopefully we would be able to fool that guy.
Yeah, for sure.
By thinking independently.
Okay. And do any of these principles, I saw you mentioned tennis on the cover of the book. What about golf? What can golfers take from your book?
Well, golf is a behavior.
That's an interesting line. What do you mean by that?
It's something that we do. Being an athlete is the way we are an athlete is the way we behave. I don't know if I said that right. The way we perform as an athlete is congruent with the way we behave as humans. All right. So, take me, for example. I had a unexplainable fear of talking to people, right? And I also had an unexplainable fear in golf of what was going to happen with my golf shot, right? So those behaviors are very similar. I can go to the root of that problem, change that basic thought, and then over time, staying in conscious for a larger period of time, I could change that behavior and thus change the results that I'm experiencing.
That's the second time you said that. Stay conscious for a longer amount of time. Are you talking about mindfulness, or what do you mean by being conscious? You're aware of your thoughts?
Yeah, just like paying attention. So what I said initially was that we really don't realize how much we let the subconscious, in other words, our habits, control our behavior. From getting up to the morning, taking a shower, brushing our teeth, going to work, whatever it is, making our breakfast. Most of the behavior that we execute during those times is habitual and controlled by our subconscious. Okay. And if we're able to stay in the conscious realm, i.e., control our thought process in those moments, right? I'm going to stay happy and grateful right now during this time while I'm cooking breakfast. Right? That'll be changing our habits moving forward. And in the end, we'll change our behavior. And in the end, we'll change our results.
So that's the chain of events. It's habits, behavior, and then what?
Results.
That makes sense. Melissa has really been great for me in terms of being more disciplined. That's really the word that I'm trying to lean into coming out of lockdown. My biggest takeaway has been I've got a lot of ideas, but it's scattershot. And I want to try to do everything, but
which is how you've always been, right?
Right. And so my goal is to take these things and kind of give them a little bit of gravity. So these ideas start to kind of orbit and start smashing into each other and become like bigger, better ideas. And here's my subconscious calling on the grown phone here. Welcome to Grown Man Radio. You're live on the air with Mark Greer.
Mark Greer, this is your old friend, Brad Lord.
Oh, goodness. It's the dogger in the house.
Oh, God. I love that guy.
Oh, boy. Brad, you've joined us when we're about to get in the deep end of the pool. I hope you got your swimmies on, brother.
Yeah, well, I was first of all, two of my favorite people in the world, two of the smartest friends of mine in the world right here. This is so above just a golf pro's head like mine. I mean, it's an incredible conversation tonight. I love it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're welcoming Brad Lardon, previous guest on the show, made it through Q School 6 times, and we're talking about a mentality on the golf course. What better person to learn from about a golfer's mentality on the golf course than Brad Lardon? So welcome to the program, Pro. First of all, before we get into it, how's everything going with your Corona relief program for PGA pros?
So, that's basically run its course. It was great, by the way. That's run its course because I'm back at work, and the course is, we're really crowded right now, even though we still have some restrictions. But it was awesome. It was a great experience for me. I got to raise, about 10 grand, and I got to, basically give. I got to fulfill some help for everyone who asked for it from the South Texas PGA or the Sun Country PGA. So that was really good that I could give a little bit of help to a few guys that needed it.
And it was also an inspiration to a lot of PGA professionals across America.
Yeah, well, I totally appreciate that. And, I'm just thankful I'm in the position to try to give back a little bit, because God only knows I've taken a lot early on. So that was good. But, you guys, I was just listening a minute ago to you guys, and, we were talking about, if things were sort of pre-decided. It's funny, I was watching Michael Jordan, The Last Dance. I don't know if you guys have seen that show yet. It's a pretty amazing series. And there's some tremendous insight to Jordan. And, one of the guys talks about how, most people are trying to be here in the now, in the here and the now, and how Jordan basically lives in the now, and he's almost never not in the now. And that's why he's capable of, rising to the moment so much. And, my take is, I think for the people that are really in the now, I think their behavior would be much more unpredictable and maybe not predestined or whatever you want to call it, because those guys are just reacting to whatever's in front of them, and they're not influenced by past or future. They are just going at this moment. And, that's when most athletes, I think, perform their best. And I think that's, something we all try to strive for. What do you guys think?
Well, that's what I like to write about. That's my favorite thing to write about in the whole world. And that's why my mascot for Clay Winnell Golf is the Alan Watts Circus Bear, because I had an epiphany personally in my own golf journey when I'm trying to be like Jordan. I'm trying to be in the now. But unfortunately, when you're trying to be in the now, you're not in the now. It's like a dog chasing its tail. So my understanding of it is the only way to really be in the now is to totally engross yourself in the task at hand. And on the golf course, that is a very clear task. In life, it might not be as clear, but how fascinating that Jordan's brain, for whatever reason, just trends towards being fully engrossed in this task at this time.
I think a little bit of that, Clay, in the case of like Jordan. So Jordan is the epitome of the most hyper-competitive athlete on the planet, right? Tiger Woods may be the same level. And that's probably as high as it gets. Maybe Michael Phelps. And those guys, they are so competitive. And so when you are hyper-competitive, you are so not concerned with what anybody thinks or with the result. You just want to perform maximum at the second, because you do understand that when you perform maximum at the second, that ultimately gets you the result you want. But those guys are so hyper competitive that that's just how they live every second of their life. Maybe they're they're obviously wired different. I don't know if that's quite a learned behavior or not. Maybe you can learn some of it. But, I think because I think competitiveness, hyper competitiveness that, some of your great athletes have allows them to be there. They're not worried about what somebody thinks, what they look like. They're not worried about technique. The goal is to win and win now, period. Now they understand that preparation has a lot to do with that. But even when they're preparing, part of the beauty of this show is Jordan is creating every possible excuse to want to kick your ass. And sometimes he's making them up for himself. And, I think when you are so focused on, doing the best you possibly can, and even I think doing the best allows you a slight bit of excuse for not winning. Those guys are like, winning is the only thing that possibly matters. Like Vince Lombardi the same way. And that's it. And there is no excuse. You either win or you lose. It's nothing else. So it was really a fascinating show, but I think that goes, right in line with, kind of, along the lines of being in the now. And, when you're right, you see like gurus that meditate to the now, or you see a shaman that might peyote to the now.
Are you
But
floating?
everybody's wanting to get to the now, whatever that is. And when you're there, you don't know that there's any other place but there to be.
Let me just say, if I might just interject right here, for you, Clayton, when your wife tells you that you need to be more disciplined, yeah.
No, she didn't tell me that. I came to that. I came to that based on observing her.
And then talking about Michael Jordan and how he was that particular person who could stay in the now at all times. Look, Michael Jordan, just like Brad said right there, Michael Jordan was thinking of ways to win. He was staying in the conscious moment right there, creating thoughts that would produce victory for him. Even if that meant making thoughts up, making lies up about people who have said something about him. He's staying in the conscious realm, even though he's making thoughts up, even though he's fantasizing, right? He's consciously controlling his thoughts. You being disciplined, it's just about paying attention to what your goals are, what your day-to-day, step-by-step execution in the course of attaining those goals are. It's just the exact same thing. What Brad Larden said right there is exactly what you can read in my book.
Awesome.
It's
Step and it'll be
great point, Mark. And what I think is really difficult for a lot of folks, and it is for most of us mortals who are have some normality, is if you want to be that person that it will do anything for victory, that means you are willing to sacrifice anything for victory. And so as harsh as this is, are you willing to sacrifice the happiness you have with some other relationship because it will distract you from the process that leads to victory? So it really becomes a dichotomy. So a guy like Jordan or Tiger, the truth of the matter is they were willing at a major points in their life, probably 10 or 15 year periods, were willing to sacrifice anything for it. And, maybe they had the right mate to understand that and appreciate it. And maybe they didn't. Maybe Elin wasn't the gal that could get it. And, so it's really, really difficult to sacrifice everything. But to be in the now, you got to care about only the now. And that means you need to be, there's a degree of selfishness involved there. And not everybody in your world can deal with that. And that's, I think, one of the things that makes it so difficult to do that, because most of us care. Most of us, I'm not willing at this point in my life to sacrifice anything in my relationship with my wife or my daughter right now. I'm really lucky because my wife understands that, there's a reason I finished work tonight, but still went to putt for 30 minutes, even though I don't even have a tournament for a while. So she gets some of this, which is really good. But a guy like Jordan or Tiger Woods, they wouldn't care if she got it or not. They're doing it. It doesn't matter.
How about in the peak of your playing days? Where did you fall on that competitiveness spectrum?
Maximum. That's why I have a couple of wives. I mean, maximum. I didn't go to proms when I was a kid. I sacrificed everything. But it really, for me personally, I didn't even know it was a sacrifice at the time because it's the only thing I knew, right? I knew I need to get better. I need to work harder. I need to do this. Being a PGA Tour player is what I want to be. Winning is what I want to do. And, I think that helped me. I don't think I have near the athletic ability that, physically, I'm not like what a lot of these other athletes were. But I think I was able to maximize a lot of my ability. Not all of it. I wasn't able to sacrifice everything, but I did sacrifice most everything, even to the detriment of certain, things, that I became conscious of later. But, it was my expectation that if you were going to be with me, you knew this was my deal and you needed to be on board or you were out. And, that's a brutal, harsh thing to say, but that's what these guys are all about. That's what they do. And, it sounds reasonable for some people in the beginning or your partner, but in the end, over a long period of time, it's very, very difficult. And it doesn't make that person bad. I mean, it's just difficult to be second priority in, someone's highly motivated life. And I don't know if that's good or bad, right? It's probably a more wholesome thing to, I sacrificed relationships. I'm not necessarily proud of that. It's just what I did. But at the time, it's what I was. And
to me,
point,
it sounds like, Brad, you're kind of like a soldier when you got that mentality. You're not like a regular human. You have like a higher calling that transcends all other things.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of degree to that, of truth to that. I don't know if that's how I'm raised or how I was wired. I don't know if that's a DNA thing or, that's where you were. I don't know what that is, but I was definitely wired a little differently. Still kind of am. You guys know me, a little crazy. But, I think if you want to achieve the maximum, if you want to be top 100 in the world at anything, doesn't matter if it's golf, basketball, or, art, or the top 100 doctor in the world, you are going to sacrifice most things in your life. You just have to, because the guys in front of you are doing that. That's what they are. So, that's why there's not that many, there's 100, top 100 out of billions of people.
How about when you were out playing? Was there any outliers that got by without that win at all costs mentality on the tour?
I mean, I think you could speculate and say some guys were just so talented that they could get away with it. I think, and then maybe, I think guys mature maybe a little bit and learn how to maximize their time. I mean, I believed early on that I needed to just practice, every waking hour, and every single second of every day had to be, every decision I made on what I was going to do was related to how would it help me in golf tomorrow. Everything, whether I was home sleeping, what I watched on TV, anything was, does this help me? And, I think as you get older, you realize, okay, well, that's probably a little unhealthy at some level. And it's time to, find some balance, because at the end of it, I don't think that made me incredibly happy, right? My most rewarding moments now are not winning the tournament anymore. My most rewarding moments now are watching my daughter win her tournament or whatever her thing is. So my priorities have shifted. I still, man, when I play, I still want to win. But I do know that I'm not doing everything I can to win. And at this point, at 55, I'm not willing to do everything anymore. But for 15 years, I did everything, and probably to an unhealthy level. But I think those guys, like a Tiger Woods and a Michael Jordan, they probably had this similar possessive will, but they also had incredible talent, incredible physical abilities, and that's how you become the number one of a generation, right? Brad Lardman is never going to be number one of the generation. He's just physically wired for it, or built that way. But, it's tough, man. We have so many things pulling us from so many different directions. And those guys that are in the total now, no matter what field and life they're in, that's really the only thing that matters to them. That's the only thing they know. And, I think it helps to be either super smart or not so smart. But when you're somewhere in the middle, that's when it gets confusing and it's really hard to rationalize any of it.
So guys,
yeah.
let me ask you this, both of you. So I'm not someone that needs to win. I really could care less about winning. And I realized that kind of partway through my journey, my short-lived journey in mini tour golf. Like, I was more about the experience. I thought it was cool to be out there doing it. I thought it was cool to travel. I enjoyed the travel and like the practice rounds way more than any of the competitive stuff. So question is, to both of you, what can someone do to better their competitiveness or better their golf scores when they're not a particularly competitive person?
Well, you can, Mark, I'll chime in first and you please go second. So Clay, that drive where winning's not that important, that probably hurt you in your pursuit of golf.
For sure.
Playing professionally.
100%.
Right? That was the crusher on that one. I think you can get better and still have balance, right? I mean, I'm still trying to get better, but I have balance. I have some balance in my life now. So it depends on what that summit is that you're trying to climb. If the top of the summit is, I want to be 2 shots better handicap wise than I was 2 years ago, you don't have to sacrifice everything, right? You can enjoy the experience. I did a playing lesson with a member today that's trying to go from a 12 to a 10 handicap. And, he said, I play good on the front nine a lot. And then I start thinking about my score. And, my advice was on that. And I knew this particular gentleman well enough to where I think I could provide some deeper insight, not generalize. I said, you play your best when you're really enjoying the moment of trying to hit this shot, this cool shot. And once you start focusing on the score, right, trying to break 80 or whatever, then you forgot about the shot. You forgot about how fun it is to just try the challenge of each shot as it comes, right? You're focusing on something in the future instead of this right here. And when you can stay with this, it sounds like you're better doing this on the front nine than the back nine. And when you can stay with this for the 4-hour period or the whole 18 holes, then you can just add it up at the end. I said, you have to not give a shit as much about the result and just really love that process of the challenge of the shot, but that's still winning. I don't want to win this shot. And I know if I win all these shots, then I'll win the day or win the tournament or win the whatever. But it's winning the moment, really, right? Ultimately, if you win all the moments, the result's probably going to be pretty good later on down the line.
Greer, do you agree with all that?
Yeah. For the most part, I mean, it's all about mentality. I totally agree that you're trying to win the moment. Even if you're not competitive, you're trying to make whatever deal you're trying to create the best that you can for yourself. I mean, even Like you're never going to be competitive when it comes to sports, yourself, but you can still find improvement in golf through another mentality, right? Whether it's what he says, creating unbelievable shots, in succession, and then creating more of them in succession, and then until you have an awesome score at the end, and then minding your mentality as you go through the round to where you don't make the mistakes that we make as golfers. It's all a mentality. It doesn't have to be competitive, right? When you get to the top level, yes, you have to be competitive and you have to have a selfish, well, people say you have to have a selfish mentality. I'm not necessarily agreeing with that because I've never experienced that. But I do know that you can improve at golf without being competitive.
I just, as you guys are talking there, it kind of dawned on me, and sort of my journey mentally has been, once I realized I didn't care about beating the other guy, but that I really cared about winning the moment, as you guys described. So really it is a form of competition, but it's just like holding myself accountable. How good can I be? How good can my mindset be on the golf course? That's my competition. I don't care at the end of the day if I win the tournament or whatever. Because all I can control is my thought process and what I do to visualize a shot and to recognize when I've got a bad swing thought that comes through and back off the ball and restart. That's really all I care about. If I can play an entire round of golf without thinking like, oh, that was really stupid of me, that was just lazy, like I did something lazy or I didn't quite think that through, that to me is my form of competitiveness.
And that it really, in my book, is just all about staying conscious for a larger percentage of time as we go throughout the day. So in your golf round, you're going to attempt to stay conscious for a larger percentage of time, and definitely while you're playing your shots.
Okay, well, shifting gears here, guys. Brad, while I still got you on the phone, what have you learned during Corona about you and your life? And do you like my plan going forward is to focus on discipline. That's sort of my why. I want to build 1L Media, 1L Studios into this thing where I can do Grown Man Radio, I can do Quarantine Tonight, I can do my Tuesday Tipperooskies, and start to become this like golf instructor, podcasting, media producer, book writer guy. Focus on all the things that I want to be doing and not allow distractions to get in my way. So I want to be disciplined. But Brad, what have you learned, and do you have any kind of new guiding principles going forward after Corona?
Yeah, so Corona for me, in many ways, has been kind of a blessing. I'm afforded, especially the last 2 months, and now I'm starting to get back to my normal life where, I work all the time. So my last couple months, I've got to spend an amazing amount of time with my family that normally I would find an excuse not to do, whether it was practice or to teach or to work or whatever. And, I've discovered how rewarding that is and how much satisfaction it gives me to, spend this quality time with my daughter. I'm getting to know her in ways I normally wouldn't get to know when I just am home for 2 hours a night conscious. And, now I get to know her much more deeply and how she's really doing. So it allows me to focus on things other than me. And for so much of my life, that's not what it was about. So I think I've really enjoyed it. I'm going to be glad when it's over, but I hope I, shift my priorities a little bit and figure out a way. So my priority definitely is getting to experience this time with my daughter over my golf results right now. That's a fact. And, I just want to be able, as we get back into a little more normalcy, not forget that. And in some weird way, I think maybe I've practiced so much in my life that, if I take care of the other things, maybe I don't need to practice so much now. Maybe I can just rely on a little memory. feel better in my soul and my heart because I'm, taking care of things that at this point in time are much more important. So it's, for me, it's almost been spiritual in that way. I think everybody probably has their own take of it. Right? Life is simpler now. There's, we don't drive as much. We don't do anything outside of what we do as much. Not near as much distraction right now. And in a lot of ways, that's really refreshing.
Cool. I like that. Mark, what about you? Anything going forward that you're going to take with you into life after Corona?
No, man. I mean, look, we're in a small town. We haven't really been affected by it as much as other people have, even probably Brad. But honestly, I feel like any of this stuff is working, man. I mean, this stuff is, we need a vaccine, right? I mean, that's what we need. So I'm just looking to get back to normal. I can tell you we've been working our tail off during the time, it's been fun.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me tonight on the Grown Man Radio Show. Please go check out Mark Greer's new book, and it's under a pen name of Mark. I've forgotten.
Mark Murphy.
Mark Murphy. It's on Amazon and on Kindle. It's called Getting Better. Check it out. Mark's a super cool guy. Got a lot of great things going around in that head of his, and you got to check out his book. Anything else for the record before we shut it off here on Grown Man Radio, gentlemen?
No, I just want to say to both of you guys, I'm incredibly proud to have you guys as friends, and it's so fun for me as the old guy now, watching you guys, do all these incredible things with your lives. I mean, Mark's written a book that's amazing. And what most people probably don't know is Mark is an unbelievable musician. Used to make musical tapes for me. They were like Jack Johnson and so cool. So Mark has many, many talents, and Clay, you have incredible talents in all different varieties. And, I'm just so proud to watch you guys excel at so many different things and kind of, using all your talents to pursue your dreams, whatever they may be. More power to you guys. Keep it going. You guys are an inspiration.
Man, it's a love fest tonight here on Grown Man Radio. We did just have a missed call here. Brad, do you mind if I drop you briefly so I can pick up this?
Yeah.
We've got someone who can't wait to talk to Mark.
Oh my God.
Later. Thank you guys. See ya.
Later.
Bye, Brad. Love you.
All right, let's try this. Man, I think he's feeling the love in Santa Fe. Santa Fe is making him a very sentimental person. I love it.
He's a good guy, man.
Brad Lardon, one of the legends. We're calling back this 903 number. You've called twice. Hopefully you call. Hopefully pick up. Hello, you're on Grown Man Radio.
What's up, guys? It's Victory Lane.
Oh, Victory Lane is in the house. What is going on, Mr. Tidwell?
Not much. It's good to see you, Mark.
Good to see you. Where are you at, Lane?
Where am I?
Yeah.
I am currently at home. Argyle now.
Oh, Argyle. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I actually mapped it out. We're about an hour and a half from Wichita Falls, so we'll have to come check you out soon.
Hey, can we get on for a cart fee, pro?
Yeah. Oh, y'all take care of you, Lane. Come on, man. Bring Clay with you, though.
Lane, how's it going up in Argyle?
It's going good, man. Going good.
What's Mason doing tonight?
Mason, did you hear Mason's out in West Texas now? He's out chasing the Earl in the ground. He said his company was hedged at a certain number. I don't remember what, but that was beneficial as the the price of oil was plummeting. I haven't heard. Has the price of oil come back up? I saw it's like $1.55 driving around town now.
Yeah, it's not negative.
Not negative's good. Is that real? Like, could I have gotten a bunch of barrels of oil for free?
Yeah, people were paying people to take it off of their hands.
Do you think my landlord would have been upset if I had a bunch of barrels of oil out in the backyard?
You live in an apartment or a house?
It's a rental house.
Yeah, then yes.
How many barrels of oil do you think I could get away with having and be like, no, I'm just going to, turn these into garden boxes?
Well, I'm a landlord, and I would say 2.
2. All right. Well, Lane is in the real estate business now. He's kind of in the finding the ugly houses and getting them flipped. How's that business going, Lane?
Man, it's going. Obviously, things have slowed down a little bit here since coronavirus hit, but man, we're still trucking along. It's a fun job. I enjoy doing it. So yeah, no complaints.
What's your favorite memory of Mark Greer from Miramont?
Oh, this is not.
Oh man, we talk about.
You should ask me what my favorite memory of him was.
I'll ask you in a minute. I want to hear Lane first.
Well, me getting hired on at Miramont was sort of divine intervention, if you will. I had never played around the golf in my life, and I knew I just wanted to have a job working outside. So I Googled golf courses, and I rolled up to Miramont one day, just went to the pro shop, and I filled out an application, and I gave it to Mark. And of course, he was busy doing something, and he told me that they weren't hiring at the time. And so this is where the divine intervention part comes in. So later that day, my good buddy and orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Robert Dennett, calls me, and he had some extra tickets to the A&M basketball game that night. So I ended up going to stay with him, and just in conversation, I asked him where he was staying, and he said, I'm staying at Miramont. And I said, oh, are you a member out there? And he said, yeah, I'm a member. And I said, okay. I said, well, I actually applied to work on the golf staff out there today, but they weren't hiring. And he said, really? And I said, yeah. And he said, okay. And that was the end of the conversation. And 2 days later, Mark Greer calls me and says, hey, man, can you start next week?
All right. I love it when the plan comes together. Mark,
you know how that deal went down, right? Yeah, you know
What's that?
You got to call. Mark, what's up with this? You're telling my boy Lane you can't work here.
That's the first lesson I learned at Miramont. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
You saw the Rolls Royce pull up in the valet circle. Dum dum da dum dum da dum da dum da dum.
Yeah, it was like a Darth Vader Bentley, wasn't it? Right.
Yes. So what's your favorite memory of Laner from our time together as Miramont co-workers?
Honestly, it's stuff that I can't say, bro.
This is the internet. There's like only 7 people watching.
No. Hey, all I gotta say is, do you remember Sid the Kid?
Yes, I do.
Hey, that's all I gotta say.
Man. Well, kind of keeping since Mark Greer is the star of the show tonight. Clay was talking earlier about just being young and not really knowing what you're doing. I was kind of in the same boat working in Miramont, and you're young, going through the motions, and looking back, Clay hit the nail on the head. Mark's attention to detail and demanding perfection was, that's exactly what Mark Greer taught us. And looking back at my time, if you would have asked me when I was 21 years old to rate Mark Greer as a boss, I would have rated him a 3, just because he was on our asses all the time.
Are you sure it would have been that high?
But looking back now, Mark never expected anything from his staff that he didn't expect from himself. The dude's just a perfectionist. We've all seen his calligraphy. The dude is just a perfectionist. And so, I look back at working in Miramont as like a chapter of my life. And Greer was, it wasn't about the armor all and the tire shine and all that. It was just about looking professional and doing a job and doing it right and doing it the best you can. And I think that stuck with a lot of the guys that I worked with there.
Best looking amenity stations in the land.
What did you say?
I said best looking amenity stations in the land. If we could just get some damn ham sandwiches.
Don Hackney, baby.
Got bacon and beer on Fridays.
Hey, Lane, I really appreciate that. I'm glad that people like you picked up on that stuff. That's all I was trying to do was create a culture among us.
I didn't know the value really of hard work, sort of did. But one of the first days working there, we were running a tournament and Mark was running around with his hair on fire. And like we were relaying something from the cart barn and he was like up on those like fancy like patio overlook things. And he was like coming down the stairs and I was sort of like walking towards him. And he's like, "You're not going to meet me halfway." And I was like, "Oh shit." Like I should have done like a slight jog towards you, but like me and my inexperienced, non-hard working self, I was just like, he's coming to me. I guess he's going to hand off this thing. But I still remember that. I was like, "Oh crap." I felt like I like stepped on the dog's tail or something. Like, my bad.
It was just in the moment,
It's a big love fest tonight on Grown Man Radio. Thanks for calling in, Lane. Earlier I asked Brad, if he, and I asked Mark, if Corona's touch anything and if you're going to take anything from it in your day-to-day as things return back to normal, any lessons that you're going to carry forward?
Oh, man, I think it's just shown us that we just need to be prepared for anything crazy that can happen. I haven't talked to anybody that would have ever predicted or could have predicted that something like this would happen. Even talking to, my dad and my father-in-law, guys that are in their 60s. They said this is just the craziest thing that's ever happened. And so, I think that we just have to be open-minded that anything crazy like this can happen at any time. And, you need to be prepared for it and make the best of the situation as it comes.
Fair enough.
Heard that.
Well, everybody, once again, check out Mark Murphy, a.k.a. Mark Greer's new book, Getting Better, available now on Amazon and on Kindle. Lane, Brad, thanks so much for calling into the show. Mark, thanks for your time tonight. I thought that was very enjoyable. We had some nice comments come in on the YouTube channel. M. Kobe says, "The book is great. Love the show. Thank you." Robert Brokaw says, "Great show. Got to go. Keep up the good work. Say hi to your wonderful wife." Lori Greer says, "This I must come back to later. Brilliant so far." Oh, brilliant so far. That's positive. So a lot of love coming in on the YouTube machine, and I love you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Let me say real quick that you probably had a listener from Japan tonight.
Is that a fact?
But hi, Miyuki.
Who is this? Is that M. Kobe?
Yeah, that is Miyuki. Yeah.
How do you know her?
She was my dad's lady.
Okay.
And like my aunt now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's always cool to have an aunt looking out for you.
Yeah, she's kind of like one of my aunts.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Well, it's 9:30. It's time to shut it down. We are going to have...
Yeah, hey, congrats on the book, Mark.
Yeah, thank you, Lane.
Absolutely. Hey, get that top button for me.
This episode's brought to you by Ollie Goes Fishing and Ollie Plays Golf, available now on Amazon. You can check it out there, as well as my golf satire book, Sandbaggery, The Art of Winning at All Costs from A to Z, which is the sponsor of the Grown Phone, baby.
A lot of our members love that book.
Oh, awesome. I'm glad that it's out there. And I'm going to revive it a little bit. I've got some new ideas to kind of pump life into it. What I really need to do is sell it to Club Pro Guy, but that's a whole nother discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for the Grown Man Radio Show. And this is our theme song. Goodbye.
Well, I'm a grown man